Well, hey, everybody. This is the Big Ten Football Talk podcast. Zach Guggenheim here. This is a little different episode, and I've been away for about a month or so. And I wanted to just give an update about my life, the podcast, and the future. And I realized I haven't updated in a while. And I've been on a few other shows. Most notably, I've been co-hosting a bit over at the Big Ten Huddle over the past several weeks, and I wanted to. This is a bit off the cuff, but I wanted to record. I am going to record another episode probably in the next week or so, detailing some of the coaching changes and the news of the playoff going to a 5-7 format. I think those are important things to talk about. But I wanted to start by explaining why I took a month away. So, about a month ago, I was, I've been trying to think about how to make the podcast bigger and how to promote it more and all these things. And that to me has never been the thing I get excited about. Uh, I am very much I love to think deeply about topics, which hopefully you've come to appreciate about this show is, I love to think about the ins and outs of college football. I love to think about the ins and outs of the Big Ten. And I love just talking ball. Like I just love talking about teams and culture and like that type of stuff just gets me so pumped. But I think I was starting to feel a bit daunted because I was like thinking, I got to think about how to get guests on. I got to think about this. I probably need to update my background and I need to do all this other stuff. And I got to think about YouTube and all this other stuff. So I was already starting to feel a little overwhelmed. And then I got some news that a family member of mine a bit of a has a bit of a health concern. And I don't want to say who it is or what it was, but I'll just put it this way. I needed to stop everything that was kind of extracurricular for me. Not everything, because I've been co-hosting, but anything that took a ton of time and a ton of research. And this was that. And so we're still not completely out of the woods yet, but it looks optimistic. I don't want to disclose exactly what it is, but just to say, I would appreciate your prayers. Um, that as you think of us, as you think about me and our family, that I just appreciate your prayers. That there's a somewhat significant health thing that we're potentially having to deal with. So I totally was. I've been thinking about that. I knew we had a family vacation coming up, so I just thought it was a good time to take at least a month off and kind of reflect and not worry about the pod. Not that I love this podcast and I love doing this show, but I was like, I just need to take some time away. So that's why I took a month off. In the meantime, I know some of you have been following me as I go over to the Big Ten huddle. And JR has become a fast friend. John Rhodes is his full name, but he goes by JR. I've become a fast friend with him. I became a good friend with Eric Boggs over at the OHIO podcast and the boys over there. And JR and I, in particular, and I think at a little bit at the urging of Eric, we've started talking about the possibility for me to become a permanent co-host at the Big Ten Huddle. And part of the thing that excited me about that idea, one is I've loved talking with JR. JR and I think, have very similar styles, very similar values, but we obviously we come down differently on things. In fact, I think we both commented on a video that Josh Pate had put out the other day, and he had an opinion on it, and I had an opinion on it, and I think they were different. And I think we're we feel free to disagree with each other, but I think we are both fans who I think are both knowledgeable. We have a really good rapport with each other. But I think the other thing that really excited me about the idea was that it would let me really do the things that I love without having to deal with the things that I don't love. And so here's what I mean by that. I love talking about football. And I love researching things. I love researching statistics. I love researching schedules. I love looking at recruiting, and I love forming, you know, at the best, most reasonable opinions possible based on the facts that are out there. I love that stuff. I love informing, like giving viewers and listeners a reason to tune into games. Love that. Like a great example. I wanted to sell you guys on like Rutgers Miami because I wanted you guys to see that Rutgers was going to win a bowl game and that was worth celebrating. So like I love trying to promote games. I love trying to promote players that maybe you don't know of, and commend coaches that uh deserve accolades that maybe don't get them. I love that stuff. I hate trying to figure out just the details of production. And that's frustrating because I was a communications major in college, but I was just never like if I have to figure out how to do a new skill, particularly if it takes like a dozen different details to master and I'm not good at a single one, it doesn't matter if it takes 15 minutes, it'll take me 15 hours. It's just it's exhausting for me. And so as JR and I have been talking, and JR is like, I just want to co-host to bounce things off of, to maybe bring new ideas. And he's gonna handle all the YouTube stuff and all the publicity and aside from me doing word of mouth and like retweeting on Twitter and all that stuff. Like I'm gonna promote it. But as we talked, I was like, this feels like my my wheelhouse. And so I didn't want to drag this out too long. I'm gonna be changing my primary podcast to the Big Ten Huddle, starting in the next couple weeks. In the off season, it'll be once a week. Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. we go live. It's on YouTube. It's on Twitter. All these other places. You can also see cut ups on YouTube, and you can also get us on Apple. I think they're on Spotify as well, and all sorts of other podcasts, but or other podcast platforms. But I'm not leaving this show, at least not yet. I have not decided what I'm gonna do with it yet. I have a lot of ideas, and that's my biggest problem is I have so many ideas, and then I have no follow through. Um, which my guess is some of you on this podcast listening, you're like, yeah, you have no follow through. I can't believe you're not gonna carry these things out. And then others of you are like, oh yeah, I can totally relate to that. Um, but I have ideas for what I want to do. Like I'd still would love to get guests on. I'd love to use this show as a platform to talk about different things. Like I really want to get into the playoff, um, and some of the reactions to it. I love. I think you guys know by now. I love talking about the maybe the bigger picture of college football and where it's at as a sport and where I think we need to go with it. And so I think I would love to talk about that some. I'd love to find a way to get guests on that are more it's not just about football, but football and faith. Um, and so that's something that I would be excited to do is, this is probably a pipe dream, but Joel Klatt just had an episode talking about a prenuptial agreement. And in that video, he talked about his biblical conviction. And I was like, dude, I want to just talk to you about that. Like, how was it being a starting quarterback for Colorado and being in the sports media and being a Christian? I would love to figure that out and talk with him about that. My guess is he's like, who are you, Zach? And why would I talk to you? But like, maybe if someone knows Joel, like put in a good word for me and I'd love to get an interview with him. David Pollock is another one. I'd love to get him on the show talking about faith and football, and like that stuff would be so exciting to me. Um, I will probably still do a pick show or a recap show of some sort, but if it starts to become too much what we're doing at the Big Ten Huddle, I'm probably just going to save this show for special occasions. Um, I don't I don't know what it's going to look like. So at least for the near future, I'm going to try to drop at least one episode a week during the off season. It'll probably be Monday mornings is when I drop those episodes. There's a lot of things for next Monday. What I want to talk about. My dog just came in, by the way. Um, but I would love to talk about kind of the coaching carousel right now, as well as um, the playoff for next Monday. But until then, so here's what I'm gonna tell you. Right now, I probably don't have the bandwidth to do 2 episodes a week with this show and then do 2 episodes in the fall a week at the Big Ten Huddle, as well as do my normal rhythm of ministry and love my family. And, I do high school football broadcasting on Friday nights in the fall as well. So like I just have a packed schedule. And so I'm probably going to have to choose one or the other. And so my guess is where this is leading. And I'll be clear when I make a final decision on this is probably going to be much less frequency with this show come the fall, and be more full time with the Big Ten Huddle. Now, couple things about that. One, I'm still going to keep the channel open and the podcast open because, say I leave the Big Ten Huddle at some point, which is very possible, just because of scheduling and whatnot. Um, I want to maintain this listenership. So the one thing I would say is continue to stay subscribed to this channel on YouTube and on Spotify and on Apple, because this channel is not going to go away. It just won't I just won't post as frequently, but I'll still keep my Twitter and Instagram and email address. And if you email me or leave a review or like I'm committed to talking with you guys, because that's something I've loved about this process. I've loved meeting you guys via X, Twitter, whatever you call it these days, Instagram, emailing. That's been one of the great highlights of this show. And I'm very grateful for that. But the other thing I would encourage you guys to do is go find the Big Ten Huddle and subscribe to that channel on YouTube, on Spotify. Go follow the Big Ten Huddle. Go follow JR's rankings. That's where his personal account is. And I would encourage you to follow me at my personal Twitter account, which is just at Zach Guggenheim. Because I'll probably do more posting. I'll probably post as both, but I'll probably do more posting under my actual name for the Big Ten Huddle over time. So I'll probably do both, but I would encourage you to do both there. Trying to think if there's anything else. For the off season, the Big Ten Huddle is at 9 p.m. Eastern live on YouTube. So I'd encourage you to check us out this Tuesday. I think we are going to talk about playoff stuff, which I'm like, not sure what we're going to do. If I'm going to repeat some of the same arguments that I do there, but I'd encourage you to go listen on Tuesday night at 9. We'll be live there. You'll get to see me there with JR and probably at least one other guest. And yeah, I this is not a farewell, and we'll see. We'll keep reevaluating, but this is a this is a change. And with that change, I recognize I'm probably not going to post as much, but I have been very grateful for the ride that you guys have given me. Um, we're just a small show. Someone left a comment in a review, not a review, on the Big Ten Huddle, and they were trying to say something snarky about my quote unquote lack of knowledge, and they said this guy doesn't even have a legitimate Twitter handle and whatnot. And I was looking at like this has never been about being a big podcast. This has never been about getting thousands and thousands and thousands of listeners. I've been really grateful for the few, and I shouldn't say the few, hundreds of listeners. Um, we crossed over 40,000 plays over the past couple years. And, for me, I didn't know if I'd get 1,000 over a year, let alone, 40,000 over the course of 3. And that's just with Spotify. Like, there's a lot of other uh listens that have happened on YouTube and on Apple, and just the interactions that we've had, the connections I've gotten to make. I just have been very grateful for you. I getting to connect with Illinois fans and Iowa fans and Rutgers fans this year and Wisconsin fans. Like I would have never had some of the interactions that we've had in the past. So just super grateful for you guys. And again, this is not a goodbye. It's both a new beginning and also a change. So continue to follow us at the Big Ten Football Talk podcast on X, on Instagram. Again, leave reviews, subscribe on YouTube, but also go over to the Big Ten Huddle and subscribe, follow. And I hope that you guys love the stuff that we do. If I really do get integrated there, like maybe I feel content to say, hey, I'm going to shut this down for a few months. So as you guys are going over to the Big Ten Huddle, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, let me know how you feel like the transition's going. Let me know if you feel like this scratches the itch for what this was. Um, but yeah, super grateful for you. And again, if you go over to the Big Ten Huddle, make sure you follow, subscribe, um, follow JR. Super grateful for you. And I will be back next Monday to talk about coaching, playoffs, and all of that stuff in the next episode. So I love you all. Take care. God bless.